So can we start, sir? It's 12, so...
I think so. We can start.
Yeah. Kiran, can we go live?
Sir, it is already live, sir.
Yeah. All right. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining this virtual event from across different time zones. I take pleasure in introducing myself as Srinivas Kumar, Director of the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India. I also take privilege of being the host for today and welcoming all of you. A couple of logistics announcements before we start. This meeting is being recorded and also relayed live on INCOIS YouTube. And participants who would like to interact with the speakers may type your comments or questions in the chat box, and the speakers will address them towards the end, subject to availability of time. Dr. M. Rajivan, Secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences, INCOIS GC, Chairman and Chair of National Decade Coordination Committee. Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary, Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission and Assistant Director General of UNESCO. Members of INCOIS Governing Council, members of the National Decade Coordination Committee, who are directors of leading national research laboratories and academic institutions like IMD, NIOT, IITM, NCPUR, NCCR, NCES, CMLRE, NIO, NGRI, CMFRI, SAC, NRSC, IRS, NPOL, DNOM, NHO, COS, Ministry of External Affairs, Andhra University, and our colleagues from the ministry, and Dr. Shanai, Vice Chair of IOC, Dr. Atmanand, UN Decade Steering Group and the IOC Indio Chair, and directors and senior colleagues of MOES, group directors, division heads, and my colleagues from INCOIS, project collaborators, academia and media, regional and international partners from IOC, IOGOOS, IOE2. So that's a long list, actually. So all colleagues who are participating, on behalf of the INCOIS family, I extend a warm welcome to the commemoration event of the 23rd INCOIS Foundation Day. INCOIS was established on 3rd February 1999 as an autonomous institution under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. And this organization has since grown as one of the leading institutes in the field of operational oceanography. And we are pursuing a focused mandate on ocean observations, modeling, information, and advisory services. Services provided by INCOIS such as PFZ, OSF, tsunami and storm surge early warnings, data services, among many others, have proved to be of immense socioeconomic benefits for a wide range of stakeholders and enhance the lives and livelihoods of coastal communities. The Tsunami Early Warning Center of INCOIS is also one of the tsunami service providers under the IOC UNESCO framework, and our Category 2 Center of UNESCO, we have an International Training Center for Operational Oceanography, which is also a Category 2 Center. INCOIS continues to be a key partner in several programs of the IOC in the Indian Ocean, such as IOE2, IOGOOS, IOC Indio, IODE, Argo, etc. And despite the challenges brought on by COVID, I would like to list quickly a few good progress that we have made in the last year. We not only sustained, but made several enhancements in our observations, modeling, and operational services. We successfully made more than a year of high-resolution direct covariance flux measurements in the Bay of Bengal, a first in the Indian Ocean. And as we speak, we are doing sea trials of 2 new glider systems, and then we are deploying wave drifters in the Southern Ocean. In December 2020, we launched the Digital Ocean that serves as a one-stop solution for all ocean-related data needs of a wide range of users and serves as a platform for capacity development on data management. We operationalized an impact-based forecasting system for small vessels. We operationalized high-resolution ocean forecasting system, HWRF HICOM system for providing initial conditions to IMD. So the list goes on. And through our Category 2 Center, one important thing that we still managed to do in spite of COVID is to train about 1,800 people through virtual means from 83 countries in the last 1 year. And all this is being done while our scientists continue to publish their key findings in peer-reviewed international journals, and then using this knowledge as a bedrock for our services. So all this progress, I should acknowledge as part of this Foundation Day, is attributed to the untiring efforts of my colleagues, unstinted support from MOES, visionary leadership of our past directors, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Dr. Sailesh Naik, Dr. Shana is here, and then of all our secretaries, our current secretary, Dr. Rajivan, and all our earlier secretaries, Ministry of Earth Sciences, research advisory bodies, and all collaborations with organizations such as IOC and other partners. Now, gearing up for the future to meet the ever-increasing demands of our users, we have initiated work on a new unified modeling and forecasting system. We are planning to enhance the observational network with new platforms and sensors, including measurements of biogeochemistry. And we recently undertook a complete retransformation of our organizational structure to enhance our operational and research efficiencies in delivering our national missions as required by the country, the Ocean Decade challenges, and sustainable development goals. On the occasion of the 23rd Foundation Day, we rededicate ourselves to the country, our users, and the broader oceanographic community, and pledge to bring benefits of ocean science to the society with renewed enthusiasm. Now, today's events will comprise the prestigious INCOIS Foundation Day lecture by Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary, Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO and ADG of UNESCO, on the UN Decade. A very warm welcome to you, Vladimir. Vladimir's lecture will be followed by a kickoff meeting of the high-level National Decade Coordination Committee that has been recently constituted and being chaired by Dr. Rajivan, Secretary MOES, to facilitate national contributions to the decade and engage all national stakeholders. Dr. Rajivan has also kindly agreed to preside over today's event. Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to you, sir. Today's event was preceded by an early career researchers symposium yesterday, where we had excellent talks by young researchers, and then plenary talks by Dr. Raghu Muthugude from the University of Maryland and Dr. Shubha Satyendranath. I would like to thank all of them and welcome them to today's events. Now, without further ado, let us proceed with the most important part of the program. I will now invite Dr. Rajivan, Secretary MOES, and chief guest of today, to kindly deliver his opening remarks. Dr. Rajivan needs no introduction. He is a leading meteorologist with vast experience in Indian monsoon variability, its prediction, and extreme climate events. He has several honors to his credit. He is a recipient of prestigious START Young Researcher Fellowship and a fellow of all the 3 national science academies in India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Srinivas. Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary IOC of UNESCO and Assistant Director General of UNESCO. Dr. Srinivas Kumar, Director INCOIS, Directors of all Center Institute, DG of IMD, Dr. Shanoy, Dr. Anmohan, Dr. Satyanarayana, and our members from MOES family, members of INCOIS Governing Council, Chairman and members of INCOIS Research Advisory Committee, distinguished colleagues from INCOIS and other MOES organizations, very good morning. And extremely delighted to participate in the 23rd Foundation Day celebration, and my hearty congratulations to Dr. Srinivas and all the staff members of INCOIS. As all of us know that INCOIS was established as an autonomous body under Ministry of Earth Sciences. Earlier it was Department of Ocean Development on 3rd of February 1999. INCOIS now has mandated to provide the best possible ocean information and advisory services to society, industry, government agencies, and the scientific community through sustained ocean observation and constant improvement through systematic and focused research. I'm happy to see that over the past 22 years, INCOIS has grown as one of the leading organizations in the world in the field of operational oceanography. The services provided by INCOIS, such as tsunami and storm surge early warnings, ocean state forecasts, potential fisheries zone advisories, and ocean data services, have been proved to have immense socio-economic benefits, particularly among the coastal communities. The services of INCOIS are also very important to promote blue economy initiative, which government of India is now doing. The ocean state forecast and potential fisheries zone advisory services of INCOIS reached more than 7 lakh, 70% of fishermen, and result in substantial improvements in profits and addition to safety of life. INCOIS has recently introduced Gemini, a device through which the advisories and forecasts can be directly disseminated to the users in the sea far away from the mobile phone range. Ocean observations taken by INCOIS, including the long-term series time series observations of water pressure, tides, coastal waves and currents, as well as observations of atmospheric parameters through ship mount AWS, temperature, salinity observations through profiling clouds, Argo, surface currents through drifting buoys, etc., are being extensively used in the operational services to initiate the forecast models and validating the forecast and advisories. Several process-specific observations being carried out by INCOIS are providing critical insights on ocean processes for the betterment of the forecast models. We are also happy to see that INCOIS has now become the hub of ocean modeling activities in the country. We have a very small community of ocean modelers in the country. With the availability of state-of-art HPC, facility of MOES, more frequent and accurate observations of various ocean parameters, and well-trained human capital, the predictions from ocean models used for the operational forecast have now become more timely and also very accurate. The ocean analysis provided by INCOIS is being used to initialize the seasonal and extended range forecast of Indian monsoon by IMD as well as IATM. We have set up the International Training Center for Operational Oceanography as a Category 2 center of UNESCO, and which is organizing several training programs related to operational oceanography for the benefit of Indian and foreign professionals as well as students. INCOIS also now become one of our prime destination for the students to carry out the research leading to PhD and masters as well as bachelor's degrees. In order to promote efforts to reverse the cycle of decline in ocean health and gather ocean stakeholders worldwide behind a common framework that will ensure ocean science can fully support countries in creating improved conditions for sustainable development of the ocean, the United Nations has proclaimed a decade of ocean science for sustainable development during the period 2021 to 2030. The R&D activities as well as the services of INCOIS are well aligned to the UN Decade of Ocean for Sustainable Development. INCOIS vision and mission are focused towards contributing to the so-called SDG, Sustainable Development 14, Life Below Water, wherein the objective is to conserve and sustainability use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. We are very privileged, befitting to the occasion, Dr. Vladimir Rambin, Executive Secretary IOC of UNESCO and Assistant Director General of UNESCO, has kindly agreed to deliver the Foundation Day lecture on the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. I welcome Dr. Rambin for this Foundation Day event, and we are sure that his presence in today's event will act as a great catalyst in enrolling a wide range of national and regional stakeholders into the fold of the Ocean Decade. In connection with the Foundation Day celebration, I understand an early career research symposium was organized on February 2nd, that is yesterday. The leading oceanographers, Professor Raghu Muttukude and Dr. Shubha Satyendra now have delivered the plenary talk. 9 senior research scholars from INCOIS and INCOIS funded extramural projects will also present their research findings. The next few years, INCOIS should strive their best to improve the quality of their services and also take up very important research areas. They should also collaborate with other institutions both within India and also abroad. Personally, I would like to see INCOIS to reach the status of an international research institute like Scripps Institute of Oceanography. INCOIS should take a major leadership on ocean modeling efforts, which I have told just now that ocean modeling people are very few in this country. So we need to really focus more on ocean modeling efforts. In closing, I congratulate Dr. Srinivas and all the staff members of INCOIS on the 23rd Foundation Day and wish them good luck with all the important initiatives that they implement in ocean observations, modeling, information and advisory services to the country and the whole region. The ministry will continue to provide all the support to INCOIS in delivering its important mandate. I am very proud with the INCOIS activities and wish you all the best to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your opening remarks, and then also for all your guidance, support, and encouragement to the activities of INCOIS always. Moving to the most important part of today's event, I would now like to welcome Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin, our guest of honor, to deliver the INCOIS Foundation Day lecture. Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin is the Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of the UNESCO and Assistant Director General of UNESCO. He's an oceanographer, marine engineer, climatologist, and emeritus meteorologist of the Russian Federation. He originated several mathematical models for the ocean, atmosphere, wind waves, etc., and is an author of hundreds of scientific publications. Since 1980s, Dr. Ryabinin has been involved in various capacities in the activities of the United Nations and contributed to co-design and coordination of such international activities as the Global Ocean Observing Systems and the World Climate Research Program. With his arrival to the IOC in 2015, Dr. Ryabinin started a series of brainstormings, ultimately resulted in the proposal of what we see today as the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. In 2020, the Marine Technology Society awarded him with the Compass International Award as a recognition for his leadership in the design of international initiatives and as a champion of inclusivity in the planning team for the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Over to you, Vladimir.
Thank you so much, Srinivas, for this honor and always good thinking of relying on friends. And I will now be technologically challenged to start my presentation. And I think if I try this and this,
yes,
you should see it all.
Yes, now, we are able to see the presentation.
Great. So, Dr. Rajivan, Dr. Tumala Kumar, dear colleagues, directors of the institutes, you know, like my good friend, Special Envoy of the United Nations Secretary General, Ambassador Peter Thompson, said, all courtesies observed. Dear friends, it's indeed a great pleasure to deliver to you. I know in India, we are strong in philosophy, and what you do very much is brainstorming. And I would like to say that today is a very important day for me, because I think I'm addressing now people who can really make difference. So let me start by basically congratulating INCOIS on the birthday, on the Foundation Day. So this is the picture of the IOC Secretariat, and you can also see Srinivas, who was and remains part of the team of IOC. So happy birthday. Indeed, younger brother, and the younger brother can sometimes go much longer distance in life. So this is exactly what I would like to wish INCOIS in the future. So, you know, just because this is also a foundation lecture, let me start a little bit personally. I would like to just present to you a part of the world that is in Denmark, and where we conducted a strategic retreat of the IOC. IOC is the abbreviation for Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. And when I came to the position of Executive Secretary, I was really looking for a path to mainstream ocean science. And this was, I think, the first time when we understood the importance of calling on the United Nations in relation to the ocean science. It was a very productive retreat. And here in the red, you can see a quote from my mission report. So we thought for the first time in terms of the UN Ocean Decade as a means of mainstreaming ocean activities. At the time, we didn't really think that could be, this decade could be, we were not bold enough to think that this decade could focus on ocean science. But this time, we realized this. So what was happening also during that time was that in September 2015, the United Nations adopted Agenda 2030, basically a path to us to live more happily. But at the same time, in 2016, that year was the year of publishing the first global integrated marine assessment, also called World Ocean Assessment. And one of the important messages of that assessment was that humankind is running out of time to start managing the ocean sustainably. So the good aspirations of United Nations and the people of the world really were facing excuse me, there was an announcement here. So were facing a lot of problems. So what also was becoming clearer and clearer that all elements of sustainable development are ocean science intensive. So something happened to my presentation. Satish, I think you're now doing something with my presentation. I apologize for that. I cannot move forward on the presentation. I just allowed to do something to Satish. Maybe I should stop sharing the screen and then come back to my presentation and share again.
No, I didn't.
No,
didn't do anything.
Sorry, Satish, because there's always something together. So let me just share again and see if we can move forward. Now we can move forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
so and. So, the fact that the United Nations stated they cannot manage the oceans sustainably, I think takes me to the slide that is an attempt to present to you how we can manage the ocean. So we have to manage oceans through coastal zone management, through maritime spatial planning, through establishment of marine protected areas, focusing on the biodiversity. Adaptation mitigation of climate change is also science intensive and requires ocean dimension. Real-time oceanographic services, where what INCOIS is doing, early warning systems. There are all ways of managing the ocean, but it has to be done wisely. So I would like to basically to run you through several issues that relate to different ways of managing the ocean. Let's look at the coastal zone management. We know that the population of the world is growing, that mega cities on the coast of the ocean are also growing. So this is an assessment of United Nations here, showing the dots where new mega cities are growing. What is also important that because of the global warming and climate change, we are having excessive sea level rise, which is developing with different speeds, and the speed of sea level rise is the highest at the moment in the Western Pacific, and also it is quite high in the Indian Ocean. You see here the slide with different projections of the tracks of tropical cyclones. And, this is a big change actually. And I'll remember one work that I did for one offshore company in Russia in 1998. They were developing some facilities of the islet of Sakhalin that is far away from India to the north of Japan. And they asked me, so what should we expect that will be affecting us? And I said, you should be expecting that in 2030, your installation could be hit by a tropical cyclone. And basically, they dismissed my contract because they believe this is not possible, but this is possible. So there is actually a combination of climatological, oceanographic issues. In order to manage coastal zone, we also have to look at this area differently, and coastal city subsidence that may exceed in the speed, the speed of sea level rise is also a fact. So that shows the complexity. Let me just complicate the picture even more. You see on the graph here the assessment by Global Climate Project of carbon emissions, and you see the monotonously rising killing curve of the CO2 in the atmosphere. So it is clear that we need to continuously think about the strengths of the ocean carbon sink. If previously it was totally, since the Industrial Revolution, of the order of 28%, I think now the consensus is emerging in scientific communities, which is not yet known to political community, that the strength of this carbon sink may be reduced to the 22%. This means huge change to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and maybe we need to seek more national determined contributions in terms of emissions. Huge thing depends on science, and we need also to start developing the science of carbon sequestration that we're also trying to do. So let's now move to biodiversity, and would like also to quote from the World Ocean Assessment when it was looking into the Indian Ocean. It was clearly stated that the deep sea fauna, deep sea species remain the most unknown in the Indian Ocean. We don't know their role in the ecosystem. So this is two title pages of two reports. This is the World Ocean Assessment on your left, and on the right, we just recently published, I think, a more or less illuminating assessment of what IOC can do for the new regime of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, biodiversity, that also depends on climate. Then something which is close to the heart to INCOIS. So, you know, yes, we have significant progress in the prediction of tsunami, in the warnings of tsunami, not prediction of tsunami. But, you know, the year 2010 was also an eye-opener, because there was actually tsunami in Palu that was quite complex and not something that we were able to predict in terms of strengths, because of the addition of some factors that increased the wave height. That was geography, that was also liquefaction, that was submarine slides. So, you know, and this is what we are not able to do now. And then what happened less than 3 months later in the Zunda Strait, when the Anak Krakatau volcano flank collapsed, was also impossible to predict, but I think it's possible now. If we strengthen our geodetics analysis, we will able at least to see where are the risks. So apart from the development of the core of the tsunami warning system, that requires technology, it requires people preparedness, we also need to look into all other types of tsunamis. So I think we can do that. So now let's just move into the area of medications. You know, this is so important now. And, you know, because of the hydrothermal vents, because of some the extreme pressure under which they exist, they have certain compounds that are so solid that it's possible, but it's possible to use them already for developing robust tests, for example, for the COVID-19. So we can speak about new medications that will be having antiviral properties, anti-cancer properties. People in hospitals very often die not because of the coronavirus, but because of the pneumonia that is emerging in the hospital environment, this particularly resistant bacteria. So resistance to antibiotic. There are some properties, there are some substances in ocean water, in ocean life that may actually contribute to that thing. So this is just glimpses of what can be done in the ocean, and this is what we call the future of the ocean, new economy. Now, let us just summarize this. In order to manage the ocean, we need to observe the ocean, understand much better what is happening there. We need to be able to predict the state of the ocean, and equally importantly, the state of what is going to happen if we do something in the ocean. That is also a prediction that is required. And that would be contributing to the new life that will be called integrated ocean management. And then we need to please look at the graph at the bottom right corner of that slide. You will see a new map of the world that actually resembles the capacity of different states to publish in English language. So you will see your country. you will see three strengths, areas of strengths in ocean science: North America, Europe, and Asia. But you don't see Africa. It means that Africa is not able to not only to deliver, but also to benefit from the ocean science. We need to change that. So capacity development, leaving no one behind, is very, very important. So now let me show to you, and there are some geophysicists here. Some of you already probably have seen this slide, but I think for those who are geophysicists, I think you can recognize here trench, you can recognize here 3 or 4 underwater mountains, and this is you can easily see, being in the context of our meeting, you see this as the bottom of the ocean. The trouble is that this is not the bottom of the ocean. This is the surface of the planet Mars that we know with that degree of resolution. We don't know our depths of the ocean with that accuracy. So this is what we can do. This is the area actually in the Indian Ocean. This is the search site of the Malaysian flight 370 that was lost. And so after the survey in that area, we can state that it is possible to really map the ocean depths with significant resolution. So this is a graph that shows where the area is. And I would like also to say that the equipment which was used there in India is very strong. Indian Institute of National Ocean Technology is very, very strong in this, and INCOIS also is very strong. But you know, people came to the area with an equipment that was able to basically work at the depths of 4,000 meters, only to discover that where they have to look, the depth is 6,000 meters. So there was a big problem, and then because of that, there were some very significant challenges in completing the search. And what is important, so this is the area that we see now in our maps because of the survey, and this is the area that we saw before in the general bathymetric chart of the ocean archives. This is how we saw the area of the depths of the ocean before that search. That is an image that is based on satellite altimetry and gravimetry, and it is possible to deduce ocean depth from the space, but this is only with that accuracy. So, you know, you cannot operate in the ocean that is known in terms of its depth with that accuracy. So I think this takes us to this analysis of where we are in ocean science. Yes, ocean science is competent for for problem diagnostic, but we need science that is systematically capable of providing solutions. Our observing system still is focusing mostly on climate and physics. We need a system that would be also developing biogeochemical, biological, ecological data, and we need to turn this into adequate ocean data information system, something that INCOIS is doing. We have major knowledge gaps, and our society is not so ocean literate. They don't know that ocean generates more than 50% of the oxygen by plankton. So we need to have an ocean literate society in order to be able to promote good decisions. Our funding base is mostly in research mode, and because of that, for example, in comparison with this meteorological world, our networks are not so sustainable, and we need to demonstrate the value chain to our governments and also to the beneficiaries of oceanography. So, and we cannot leave anyone behind. We have to make ocean science serving everyone, and seeds of growth in the ocean science nearly in all countries. So that was actually the motivation for the IOC. After that brainstorming, continuous brainstorming, to propose to United Nations dedicated to ocean science for sustainable development. You see the title page of that proposal, and I think we were able to convince United Nations because we spoke about the ocean that we need for the future we want, and the future we want is the common slogan of United Nations, and what in United Nations people really think. So in the resolution on the oceans and law of the sea, we see the paragraph that the United Nations General Assembly, number 72, decides to proclaim the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development for the 10-year period beginning on 1st January 2021. And IC was asked to develop an implementation plan, working basically with everyone. So we started. We had a global planning meeting, continuous brainstorming, as I alluded to, and we had 11 workshops in different parts of the world. I think now more than 2,000 attendees. These are the locations, and I would like to say that there was also in Chennai at the beginning of the previous year. There was a workshop focused on the ocean decade, and then the work continued. That work was truly, I think, all-inclusive, hundreds of organizations, dozens of countries. So we established, or helped to establish early career ocean professionals, because it is a decade. We have to have young people running the decade. Later, we conducted a lot of thematic meetings, and we established executive planning group. Dr. Atma is with us now, who is a member of that group. So 3 editions of the implementation plan were developed with the help of executive planning group. And then we submitted already under the coronavirus pandemic our plan to the United Nations General Assembly, and it was sitting on it and nothing was happening. We spoke to them, and then surprisingly for us, it was a wonderful surprise that on the last day of the previous year, there was the resolution, the same resolution, Oceans and Law of the Sea, adopted. And this resolution took note with appreciation of the implementation plan, basically giving us the green light to move forward with the decade. So today we are already 1 month into the decade. It is very important to realize that the decade is starting, as was proclaimed in the United Nations, within the budget, existing budget and structures. So we need to start from scratch and develop the movement of the decade from the ground zero, but I think we are able basically to do it. So let me present to you the most important slide in terms of the decade. The implementation plan outlines 7 societal outcomes. So qualities of the ocean that we'd like to see: clean, healthy, resilient, productive, predicted, safe, accessible, inspiring, and engaging. You can easily see that some of these qualities pertain to the ocean, but some of these qualities really are about us, people. We are supposed to be inspired and engaged. We need to be safe. So we see qualities of the ocean and qualities of people as the result of this decade. And then we identified 10 initial areas of work, 10 decade challenges. Let me just very briefly run you through the logic of that selection. So we need to have the ocean clean, to deal with pollutants. Pollutants only part of the multi-stressors that affect the ocean. We need to understand ocean ecosystems better, and this will help us to make the ocean healthier. With that, we will be able to generate food from the ocean. And this is only one element of how we use the ocean, because we have to develop ocean economy, which has huge potential. This will be done under conditions of climate change, in which ocean is a very significant nexus. I already spoke about this. There will be stronger tropical cyclones. There will be some other related risks, so we need to deal with that. And in order to be able to address all these challenges, we need to develop observing system. We need to develop modeling, prediction, achieve a new level of ocean digital representation. Sometimes we call digital twin of the ocean. We can speak about digital ecosystem of the ocean. And I think this is one of the most important things that we need to develop in the decade. We cannot leave anyone behind. We need to have very strong capacity development for the whole world. And we need to change our behavior. One way of changing the behavior is focus on ocean literacy. So everyone knows about the role of the ocean, dependence of us on the ocean and ocean on us. So the process for that is that we need to proactively identify the knowledge that we require, generate that knowledge, apply that knowledge. And this is the process that we outlined in the decade. And it is very important that, you know, this is a targeted decade, in the sense that this is not just any science. This is not a shopping list. That this is a process that leads us to the science we need for the ocean we want. So, but you know, this is just the start of that process, and I would like to say that it will involve different types of activities. The largest activities of the scale will be decade programs. They may be global or regional, but we are now seeking commitments and interest expressions from different sources, and within these programs, and also individual, there will be smaller kind of traffic chain level. This is decade project or one-off activities like an event. We also seek for contributions to the decade. We seek experts, we seek resources and things like this. So just to imagine, many of you know this, this was part of your life, the World Ocean Circulation Experiment. Srinivas spoke about new gliders. Gliders actually massively started when the world conducted the World Ocean Circulation Experiment. Tropical ocean global atmosphere study, with this tropical experiment, Troga Coare, which resulted in the establishment of the Rama array. First of all, the Tau array, and then the Rama array. The census of marine life. That was, I think, a breakthrough that now IST is running forward with the Ocean Biodiversity Information System. These are three big projects, and we think of dozens of them. This is the scale of the decade. On the 15th of October last year, we issued a call for decade actions. So we're seeking ideas on the decade in terms of programs. The call deadline was the 15th of January, so we are now working with what we have received, and we did receive 230 program submissions and some offers of contributions to help us to run the decade. And of course, they're of different caliber, different level of depth. We already immediately identified 20% of them as obviously program level. 60% of the submissions roughly require further examination. But what is important, that we are going to run with this forward and continue the brainstorming. And hopefully we will create tens of very intensive, very important, novel, and practically focused decade programs in ocean sciences. So this is how we're going to run the decade. After the resolution of the United Nations General Assembly, IUC was reconfirmed as the coordinating agency for the decade. So we are going to establish a decade advisory board. For the time being, because of the coronavirus, we are unable to run all the meetings on time. So we are running behind. So we are asking the executive planning group to continue to work on the planning of the decade. And today and tomorrow, in the meeting of the Executive Council of IOC, we are going to extend the mandate to seek agreement of member states of IOC to extend the mandate of the on the temporary basis of the Executive Planning Group, and then we'll move to the Decade Advisory Board. Within IOC, Decade Coordination Unit will be working. We hope to have very strong support from members of the UN family, different agencies. So there will be a diverse, hopefully, structure system that acting as an organism. So we already thought through the decade coordination structure. So now there are different ways of engaging in the decade. There will be definitely global stakeholder forum, which once again I have to repeat myself, because this is a way of co-design, the way of brainstorming about the decade. The decade has to will have to have regional manifestation. So discussions of certain ideas. We think of a big conference about ocean data. I think we need a big conference to see what we can do between deep sea mining communities and deep sea research communities. I already alluded to the importance of studying life in the abyssal part of the ocean. So we're also creating an Ocean Decade Alliance that is that will include around 50 major stakeholders that can help us to generate resources for that event. And then today's event, which is called Brave New Ocean. So there, unfortunately, there was a connotation to the Brave New World. The book of Huxley, which for me, I think was not a very good connotation, because the book was quite dramatic and not so positive. I think we look, of course, at the ocean in the positive sense, but anyway, so this alliance is also starting, and today we launched that alliance, and we need decade implementation partners. In this particular case, I am so glad to hear that National Indian Decade Coordination Committee is going to sit for the first time today. So this decade is basically, not only spending money on research. This is an engagement decade and a brainstorming decade, and this is not only for the ocean sciences. Probably you understood from what I was trying to say, that involvement of everyone in the sense in the earth science, in which we will have to really have the ocean science to be at the same level as some other sciences, and leading science if possible, but not at the expense of other sciences. This is the vision for the Ocean Decade. Now, continue to speak about Ocean Decade Alliance. So there are some founding members. So the President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Kenyatta, the Serene Highness, the sovereign of Monaco, Prince Albert II, who is very interested in oceanography. Ernest Solberg, the Prime Minister of Norway, the founder of high-level panel, of which I'm going to speak now, decided to join. Our brother organization, United Nations Environment Program, the executive director decided to join, and many, so the government of Norway, and many foundations. This is what we are now are able to join, to engage, and I think these people will really make difference. So there will be institutional members and individuals in this alliance. So let me speak now about the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy that delivered the initial reports. They delivered actually 16 blue papers, 3 special reports, and then some foundational transitional reports. So this is a very important development, ladies and gentlemen. This is when the 14 heads of state and government, prime ministers or presidents, decided to make change in the ocean. This panel was established by the Prime Minister of Norway, Madame Ernest Solberg, and these papers are on different that they produced, and IOC is on the advisory network. And former IOC chair Peter Hogan is a co-chair of the expert group. So this expert produced 16 papers focusing on ocean science, focusing on the ocean genome, on deep sea mining, renewable energy, also on how we can change ocean governance so it becomes more equitable. What do we need to know? What are the capacities we need to develop to manage the ocean? Basically, the paradigm is that this panel came with a much better understanding at the very high level, because this is the level of prime ministers and presidents, that we can really start managing the ocean sustainably. So these 14 leaders of countries agreed that they will manage 100% of the area of their exclusive economic zones with scientifically founded plans. So these 14 countries have 30% of the world's area of the exclusive economic zones. So it means that, and roughly, I would say the area of exclusive economic zones is 40%, maybe slightly less. So, but if you speak about already managing 10% of the ocean area, and I think because these countries, they cannot dictate to other countries. They urge other countries to join, and IOC will be able to help them because we are an international organization. So I think this is just a seed of growth that we may start managing the ocean based on science. So these reports also outline a very important considerations that if we start managing the ocean and we commit that we do this at a very high level, then with the contribution of ocean science, we will be able to sustainably generate from the ocean 6 times more food than previously, 14 times more ocean energy, of course, mostly coming from the wind energy. This can be done at the same time, reducing the carbon gap towards 1.5 target of the Paris Agreement on climate. So we can reduce 20% of that carbon gap, and we can generate from the ocean sustainably, roughly, I would say, in order of magnitude more than we are generating now. For that, we need to undertake certain actions. To be honest with you, I'm not entirely in agreement with all foci that they presented here, but the data reform, managing ocean sustainably, and also engaging between national accounting, ocean economy, and ocean science, so they all work together, I think can lead us to that path. So, this is the slide that I showed at the beginning of my presentation, that humankind is running out of time to start managing the ocean sustainably. A statement from the World Ocean Assessment. I think we can cross this. And this is, when people think about the successes of their organizations, they think of technologies that they created. Some United Nations organizations think of good events that they conducted. But the purpose of these organizations is to find a way to change the tide. And I think ocean science, in which IOC will be a catalyst and is a catalyst, can really help us to at least solve this problem for humanity. We really can manage the ocean. And some countries decided to do so. And the science, ocean science, is that key that opens that door. But for that, we need, as is stated here, quantitative, very capable, new ocean knowledge system with transparency, data exchange that has to be based on observations, has to have global standard and local implementation. And I personally, as a scientist involved in mathematical modeling, I believe that we need to have observations, data quality control, data analysis, assimilation, then reanalysis, prediction, observing system experiments, cooperative runs of different models, user feedback on observations and data. So we have to have enabling environment for ocean data system. And if we come back to a meteorological comparison, we can refer to the creation of the World Weather Watch in 1965 by the World Meteorological Organization. We need to have a system like this. And if we have a system like this, then our decisions will be much more transparent. And then we will be able to achieve more in saving the ocean. So I remember one prime minister of a country that I don't want to name now, saying, people elected us. Why do we need to listen to scientists? That was a statement that was made more than 20 years ago. That was a very telling statement. But the science has to really inform the government. And this is the new social contract of environmental science. This contract was actually coined for climate science. I think now it applies to ocean science as well. So in that particular case, INCOIS can do really a lot as I think node of that type of science of operational oceanography. And I think when Srinivas was speaking about what INCOIS was doing, I think this already seeds of that system that INCOIS is developing. We would like to have this system global. And this will be operational oceanography of the future. So this takes me to the last slide of the presentation. We have today, and this is the local time, Indian Standard Time, 20:45. You, ladies and gentlemen, I know how you work. You sleep very little. So I invite you to this roughly 90-minute event, presenting to you the decade, the alliance of the decade. And I think after you conducted the meeting of the National Decade Coordination Committee, you will be requiring some rest. And I think this event will continue to inspire you. And this is one of the outcomes of the decade, inspiring ocean. We will try to inspire you tonight. So I invite you after the celebration of this Foundation Day of INCOIS also to continue celebration with that event. You can easily find the links to this. There will be a YouTube link of UNESCO, some Facebook links. So please come and enjoy that event. United Nations Secretary General will be the Director General of UNESCO. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention and return the floor to Srinivas.
Thank you very much, Vladimir, for that very inspiring talk. I would like to actually ask the meeting participants to, we have about a minute or two. If you have any questions to Vladimir on his talk, please go ahead. Please take the floor and you can ask a couple of questions. Okay, while people are thinking, Vladimir, I just wanted to ask if there is so much of excitement around the decade, and then so many institutes, countries, and organizations rallying together, putting together ideas, and then trying to implement them. They want to make a real change in the next 10 years. So I just wanted to check how you think some of these ideas could really get resourced. There might be a great idea. It could be observing, or it could be modeling, or it could be just enhancing literacy, public literacy. What are your thoughts on how these could be resourced? I know it's a difficult thing, but yeah, I'm sure you will have some ideas. Yeah.
Thank you, Srinivas. I think just in front of me, when I look at my screen, I see Atma, and he is asking this question all the time, and in the meetings of the executive planning group. So once again, the decade was proclaimed within structures and resources. We started from ground zero. Let me just give you an example. The total revenue that comes from to the countries, to all beneficiaries from the ocean economy is of the order of, say, my estimate is $3 trillion per year. We are running globally a system of observation that is an annual investment of $1 billion per year. So this is 3,000 times less. And IST is able to invest in the coordination of the system $300,000, which is again 3,000 times less. So we have this logarithmic scale, which is huge exponent. And I think this needs to change. So the answer is we create conditions for that funding. We hope that the funding in nationals will come to national institutes. There will be some international funding for coordination. It is very difficult to expect that will be international funding. But also I know that, for example, in the States, because of the discussion of the decade, there is now an intention. Actually, there will be a meeting of the committee, not a committee, but community, I would say, in the States very soon, in which they're going to have around 800 people. And it looks like the government is willing to assign sum of money of the order of hundreds of millions US dollars to the decade activities, to different projects. I know that this European Commission in the project Horizon Europe is really thinking about the decade, and there is a possibility, and this is a multi-billion-dollar project, there will be also a mission focused on the ocean there. Also, we speak about billions and billions dollars focusing on ocean science. So there is already huge investment in the ocean science. We just want to coordinate this and take it so there is more value created from that funding. And I know that in China, and also that in India is also going to assign a lot of work to deep sea research. So I think if we just make it, first of all, coordinated, then there will be more value, then it will be more attractive to create investment. We also would like to add to that research the ecological dimension, so we know what we are doing. So that is how I see. So, you know, probably the salaries of us will not increase. That is okay. But, you know, there will be big development in mainstreaming ocean science. Right now, according to assessment of the Global Ocean Science Report that we published in December, the part of the national research that goes to ocean science globally is 1.7%. This is wrong. This is for the 70% of the area that we live in. So we need to change it. And that's exactly the point.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. So we'll not keep you for long, but then there are a couple of hands. I see Dr. Shenoy has a question which he will ask. And then there is one more from Dr. Rajkumar. I'll just read it now, and then you could handle both together. How much is really feasible on ocean energy other than wind and wave? This is a question from Rajkumar. I'll hand over the floor to Dr. Shenoy to ask his point, and then probably Vladimir go both together before we close. Thank you.
Thank you. Vladimir, this question I'm asking specifically because all the members of a national coordination committee for a decade is present in this meeting. See, you had mentioned that nearly 300 proposals have been submitted for endorsement under the decade program. Now, my question is, of course, you will make some selections, and some may not fit within this framework. Some will fit, and they will be endorsed by the decade advisory committee or whichever mechanism it will be adopted. The question is, these are different programs. Many of them are more of national importance in nature, and the nations are funding those programs. So what will be the mechanism to give a sort of a loose coordination so that these programs will get benefited through this? Of course, they are contributing to the decade, but they also should get benefited from getting them endorsed with the decadal program. Any thoughts you would like to highlight? Thank you.
Thank you, Satish. So, let me just speak on the ocean energy, and then we will come back to the organizational matters of the decade. So, yes, indeed, the assessment of the high-level panel is of the order of that we can increase 14 times the energy that's coming from the ocean. I would like to say that, of course, you know, the lion's share there is of the wind energy, and there are some pros and contras in that. Of course, we also consider tidal energy, you know, thermal energy coming from the ocean, and also probably coming from wind waves. But, you know, I would say that mostly, of course, this is wind energy. So, you know, I'm not an expert on this, but I would like to say that our generation of the ocean also will require some research and probably some new compositions that are maybe generated from the ocean. So not only direct generation of energy, but also some research that will be probably leading to more saving of the energy, better transition of the energy. And I think the whole world should consider in the future in new grids, you know, and this will change the face of the planet, because, you know, we have, for example, Sahara, in which we can generate a lot of solar energy, but nobody does it. And this may change the situation with energy in Europe. So I think we need to see this also in the context of a global development. So this is, I think, all what I know about this report. I haven't actually seen that the details of that report. But my impression is that there will be direct generation of energy, better transmission of energy, and better use and storage. And for that, we have to approach the Earth system, use the Earth system approach. So I'm unable, unfortunately, to answer this question in more details because of lack of knowledge. But you know, coming this bureaucracy, that's Satish. I can share something. So in principle, this is the same approach, Satish. That we are receiving a lot of good thoughts, hundreds of good thoughts. So, you know, for us, I think it would be a mistake to just proclaim this decade, say, yeah, you have our rubber stamping positive assessment, go ahead. No, it will not work like this, because I think we will need to see what is now happening, where people are able to deliver, they're able to contribute. There will be definitely some gaps. So, and without covering these gaps, those projects and progress will not be probably meaningful. So this is an organization in which we will need to keep thinking with the proponents, engaging similar programs into multiplying their scale and moving forward in a coordinated way. So that is how we see the development. United Nations agencies are able to register their ideas, while others will have to go through some scrutiny. So this is also complicating the design, but that design will be continuing. It will be a soft design, co-design, because we don't have the money. This is not a funding agency exercise, as we all know, but that continuous thinking, influencing what is happening, filling the gaps, is the way how decade will move forward. This is the only way we can just organize the world, having no additional structures, no additional resources at the beginning.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vladimir. So I know you are getting late. You have to run to the IOC, and then we are cutting it our NDCC time. But with the permission of the chair, I will like to take just one last comment. Dr. Atmanand raised his hand. I would like to request you to just hang on for a minute more. Dr. Atmanand, please go ahead. So this will be your
extremely sorry question. For taking your time, but just I wanted to have an idea that you were the actual architect of the UN decade of ocean science, but when it actually the idea emerged in your mind and you started putting all the actions towards this, I just wanted to know how you visualized what would be the situation globally in the oceans by 2030. I mean, what was your thinking? Of course, it may not be documented anywhere. It may not be there any reports. But I'm just thinking your feel, what you had in your mind, how the oceans would be by 2030. Thank you.
You know, thank you. You know, I would like to maybe just, I think, taking your time. I'm sorry for that. But when Dr. Atma was leaving as the director, so I was giving the talk there called One Planet, One Ocean, One Atma. So, you know, it is not me that who invented the decade. I had some ideas about the decade. We also had this brainstorming in which we have we had the former executive secretary of IST, Dr. Kulenberg, who was reminding to us that there was an international decade of ocean exploration in 1970 and 1980. So this was also a triggering thought, because this is exactly 50 years after the decade of ocean exploration that was conducted under IUC and United Nations. So the time was coming for us to do something. I was also involved in the international polar years that are happening every 100 years, then 50 years, then 25 years after the International Geophysical Year. So there are some magic dates in the world, and that was, I think, what was helped us to create this idea about the ocean decade. I would like also to thank Peter Hogan, the chair who was organizing this meeting, was chairing the meeting. So, but you know, I can tell you something that will be not a secret, because we have, I think, hundreds of people online. But you know, the vision of the world that is fair, that is based on science, should be applied not only to the ocean. It should be applied to the how we live on the planet Earth. So, if we can move forward with the ocean, that will make a life of humankind and our planet better. And that is what is the motivating factor, I think, beyond the ocean. And that is the vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. In fact, we can't thank you enough, Vladimir, for accepting to deliver the Foundation Day lecture in spite of your busy schedule of the IOC 53 that's starting today, and then followed by the high-level event, which we will actually still will log into later this evening. It's a great privilege for us to hear from you, talk about the ocean decade, like what we call hearing from the horse's mouth. And then we are actually going nicely into the next decade coordination committee, our meeting, which is being chaired by our secretary, Dr. Rajivan. So I think all these discussions will really lead us well into our own discussions we'll be having in the next meeting. So I'm sure it will stimulate, your talk will stimulate wide participation of national and regional stakeholders in this important endeavor, Vladimir. So with this, I will now invite my colleague. Of course, you have the last word. After that, I will invite my colleague Satya to quickly present a very short word of thanks to you, and then we will go with our other meeting. Yes, Vladimir, you were saying something.
Just want to thank you for that invitation. You know, I would like to say that I met the new ambassador of India to UNESCO last week. And that was a most illuminating talk that I had in, I think, maybe in years, Ambassador Sharma. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, with your brains, you can make big difference. So I think, thank you for allowing me to speak to you.
Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you very much once again. And Satya, please propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah. Am I audible and
yes.
Are you able to see me? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. Very good afternoon to you all. Yeah, I know we are running short of time. I don't take much time. And I'm B.V. Satyanarayana as a group director of INCOIS, taking care of the information communication technology and data management activities of the organization, and working with Dr. Srinivas. I just quickly propose the word of thanks, and we have come to this last item. And it's a great honor and privilege for me to propose vote of thanks on this memorable occasion of the 23rd INCOIS Foundation Day of INCOIS. On behalf of INCOIS family and on my personal behalf, I would like to express our profound gratitude to the Dr. Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary, IOC, for sparing his valuable time to be with us today and delivering the foundation lecture on United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring talk on the Ocean Decade and highlighting ways in which the ocean community could engage in the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to safeguard our ocean and protecting our planet Earth. I am sure that INCOIS in particular and India in general can be a key contributor and partner to the IOC for delivering the ocean we need for the future we want. I wish to express my special thanks to Dr. M. Rajivan, Secretary MOS and Chairman of our Governing Council, for presiding over today's event, and more importantly, for his unstinted support and guidance to the INCOIS. On this occasion of the Foundation Day, we would like to pledge that INCOIS will continue to work towards delivering its mandate of bringing the benefits of the ocean science to the society under your able guidance, sir. I thank all my senior colleagues at MOS, at INCOIS, and all other institutes for their participation and support in organizing today's event. We are also thankful to both print and electronic media for covering today's event. I wish all the success for in-camera kickoff meeting of the members of India's National Decade Coordination Committee, which follows now. Once again, I thank you all for your attention. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Satya. And thank you very much, Vladimir, once again. And good luck with the IOCEC and today's event.
Thank you very much. Good luck with your committee. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.